Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name's Stephen Harvey. Good to have you in on a Friday. It's the finale of the 2023-2024 NFL regular season. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on the final show that we're going to be talking about when it comes to predicting the 2023-2024 NFL regular season? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this show, and I can't believe this is the last game of the regular season for the NFL this year, but we're ready. We've got a lot of good topics here, and we're ready to make our picks.
You know, it's going to be a great show, a lot of important matchups to it. A lot depends on a few teams. Like, for instance, we have the Buffalo Bills, who can hypothetically go from the 2 seed all the way down to out of the playoffs. That's the ramifications potentially for some of the Week 18 teams. We also have the Buccaneers, who if they just win, they're in. If they lose, they're out. So there's a lot of things that ride on this week. There's a lot of important games here, so let's jump actually right into it with our first topic, which is we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. This game is very, very important when it comes to playoff implications because the Bills, they're 2.5-point favorites on the road against the Dolphins, and the winner of this game will claim the AFC East as well as hosting a wild card game. The Bills, like I mentioned earlier, they have the opportunity to be the 2 seed. If they lose, but things fall in their favor outside of that, like with the Steelers, they could still end up, I believe, as the 6 or the 7 seed. But if things don't go the way and they lose to the Dolphins, they're out of the playoffs at a 10-7 record. So I want to know, who do you think will claim the AFC East title and potentially, take that 2 seed? Who do you think wins in this game?
Bills.
You're going to take the Bills?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the Bills will win this game. I think the Dolphins are not that great. I think last year they played lousy down the stretch. They've kind of repeated that this year. They have, when Tyreek Hill is on and Tua's on, and they're pretty good on offense. Tua's been Tyreek Hill's been banged up recently. It was talk of him being the MVP and having a 2,000-yard season. Well, that went out the window, right? I mean, he got banged up, and he hasn't been able to play as well as he did, and Jalen Waddle is also hurt. I don't know, is he playing in this game at all or not? I think he had a high ankle sprain. I thought they said he wouldn't be back until the first game of the playoffs. So, and the Bills have so much to play for here. I mean, they risk dropping out of the playoffs. If that happened to them, that would be like a shocker, right? Everyone thought they were a Super Bowl contender this year. They still have a chance, particularly if they win this game and win the division, then they got a home playoff game. That makes a huge difference. So I like the Bills. I think they got a lot. They got more to play for here. They risk dropping out of the playoffs. That's not the situation for the Dolphins. And I think the Dolphins have been poor down the stretch last year and the same this year. And don't think they have as good a defense as the Bills do. And while they have a good offense, it's a little bit banged up, and Josh Allen's been playing well down the stretch here. So and I think the Bills' offense will outshine the Dolphins' offense on Sunday.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm also taking the Bills here, and I think one of the reasons is due to the injuries. Bradley Chubb, he's out for the year. Xavier Howard, he's out for this game. Jerome Baker, a great linebacker for them, he's questionable. He was a limited participant all week. Raheem Mostert, I mean, the guy is a touchdown machine this year. He's been a limited participant. Jalen Waddle, he did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. He was a limited participant today, actually, so we don't know exactly about his status. He's questionable for this game. So injuries are a big concern here, at least for me. But I'm gonna say this on the side of the Dolphins in sort of a negative sense. I think the Bills are in a great position because recently they've been on a massive upswing, and the Dolphins, against good teams, there was major question marks there. We thought when they beat the Cowboys, like, okay, they could beat good teams. And then they go up against the Ravens, it's like, okay, maybe the stable teams they can't beat. The Cowboys are very unstable, very questionable, and they've always had their ups and downs throughout their history. I mean, they haven't made a Super Bowl in, 30 years? So they're not exactly a stable franchise in recent memory. The Dolphins, they're sort of the same concerns we had with the Dallas Cowboys. I think they also have similar concerns. For instance, against teams without a winning record, they're 10-1. Their offense averages 35 points a game. They have about 245 total yards per game and average a little over a turnover a game. The defense, allows 17.9 points a game. Total yards per game allowed, 279. Takeaways, basically 2 at 1.7. Against winning teams with a winning record, the offense goes from 35 to 18. Total yards per game goes from about, 424 to 335. Turnovers remain about the same, 1.4 to 1.4. It's the exact same. The defense, however, we talked about the 17.9 points allowed. They give up 36. The yards per game go from a little over 270 to 373. Takeaways, they average only 1 per game compared to the nearly 2 against teams without a winning record, and they're 1-4. So it's the same concern, except I think it's magnified. And the reason why Tyreek Hill was in the MVP discussion for a large part of the season was because Tua did not play the same when Tyreek Hill was banged up, not 100%, or was out for a game. That was just the case. And people can say, oh yeah, but what about the Jets game? It's the New York Jets. They're a horrible team. They had Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle. I mean, they really have nobody. This was an Aaron Rodgers season, and then 75 seconds into Aaron Rodgers, start, he got hurt. It's really unfortunate. So for me, I agree with you because I do think this game will be in the Bills' favor, and they are in prime position for that 2 seed. This Dolphins team, I don't know if I trust it whatsoever. Injuries, you lost a great linebacker, you lost a great defensive back. Your number 2 receiver, who's having a pretty good year so far, he's questionable. He barely practiced at all this week.
And Tyreek Hill, I think, is a little banged up too, even though they don't say so.
He was a limited participant on Wednesday, did not practice on Thursday. He was a full participant today. So he is probably good to go. There is no injury designation game status for this game, so my guess is he'll be out there, but I don't know exactly if he's 100%. But yeah, Tyreek Hill is about to break records over here.
It's going to be a great game, I think.
I think it is going to be a great game. What I find really, really fascinating, though, is that, and then this kind of has something to do with this, but the Pro Bowl starters got announced, I believe, yesterday or the day before.
They have a game?
Well, no, they're going to do like the Pro Bowl competition. I think it's flag football. I believe it's flag football this year.
That's so boring.
It's bad.
Give up on that. Just announce who the best players are, and that's it.
What I find fascinating, though, is that Josh Allen got snubbed. The guy leads in touchdowns. Tua, on the other hand,
he didn't get picked.
Josh Allen did not get picked. It was Mahomes, it was Tua, and I forgot the other AFC quarterback. It was Mahomes, Tua, and I'll look it up really quick. But the fact that
too many turnovers for Josh Allen.
That could be it. But if you're leading in touchdowns and you have a bunch of yards, you're not going to get that?
Yeah, well.
Tua's production has been pretty good, but without Tyreek Hill, it's not the same. And Mahomes having a very bad year. We talk about turnovers. I think Mahomes has 14 interceptions. Yeah. He's basically, I think he's number 1 or number 2 up there.
It's a big name.
Of course. But I'm saying it's a little unfair. So maybe this game, I mean, you can't really change it, but you're adding another level of potential motivation for Josh Allen to come in here and say, you got a Pro Bowl over me? I'm better than you. And we got to remember the first time they played, Buffalo absolutely shellacked the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. They whooped them very, very badly from a score of 48-20. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the game right after they crushed the Broncos 70-20. The Dolphins did.
Yeah.
So they got absolutely shelled in the game against the Buffalo Bills, and I think this could be the same thing. And then
I think the Dolphins are that tough. I think the Bills are a tougher team than they are in terms of physicality.
Yeah, I would say so.
The Dolphins are more a finesse team. I see the Bills as more of a rough and tumble team than the Dolphins.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. Josh Allen,
Josh Allen clearly against Tua. Tua's never going to run the ball again. He's had so many concussions.
Right.
Josh Allen, on the other hand, he's like a fullback when he heads into the line.
He's like a Big Ben and a Cam Newton.
Sometimes that works to his disadvantage. He usually does it when he kind of loses his emotional composure.
Right.
And tries to do things that he really shouldn't be doing. And usually that's why he has so many turnovers, I think.
I think just like you mentioned with Mr. Dan Gamble, the head coach of the
Dan
Lions,
Gamble.
I think sometimes he forces throws, and we talked about this before, where you could say maybe his mentality is that 13 seconds against the Kansas City Chiefs Now he has to make every play matter. It has to be a touchdown. He has to make the big play on every play. It's sort of the anxiety, the anxiousness. The like, Mahomes is right there. I got to throw the ball. I got to get this out. I got to win the game for us. And maybe that's why he's trying too hard.
Yeah, I think so.
Just like
sometimes
in Lamar's unanimous MVP season, in the playoff game, he looked like he was trying to do everything on the field instead of just playing his game. Tried to make the big time run, tried to make the big time throw. And it showed he can't really do that. It's a team game here. So maybe I'm sure Josh Allen will throw at least an interception. But here's the thing. Will he have a performance like he did against New England? Because New England has a better defense than Miami. I say just because of the difference in offenses. My concern is if Josh Allen does what he did against New England, where he was, 0 for 9 to start the game, I think,
New England's
the Dolphins
defense
are going to capitalize on that, besides Bailey Zappi throwing 3 straight interceptions.
Yeah, well, New England has an elite defense.
I agree.
They have
and
an
the
elite
Dolphins
defense.
don't.
The
Against good
Dolphins
teams.
don't. I don't think he'll have anywhere near as much trouble against the Dolphins as he had against the Patriots.
We'll obviously have to wait and see. Turnover problems have been a thing. He does lead the league in turnovers since 2018 when he entered the league. So we'll have to wait and see. But we are both taking the Bills on the road to take that number 2 spot and reclaim their AFC East title. I want to talk about this topic because I think this is very, very fascinating. So we've heard a bunch of rumors out there, reports about Bill Belichick and his future with the New England Patriots. And now there's a report out today saying that Bill Belichick is going to meet with ownership on Monday to discuss his future as head coach of the New England Patriots. They play the Jets on Sunday, which could be the last game that the Hall of Fame coach ever does coach for the New England Patriots. We've been back and forth on this topic. Is he going to get fired? Should he get fired? We've been back and forth basically throughout this entire season when all these reports came out that this could be Belichick's last year. Some other interesting reports that came out today and yesterday was that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft actually fought over who should be the offensive coordinator for this season. Bill Belichick wanted to stick with Patricia and grow with Patricia as the OC for the New England Patriots, while Robert Kraft stepped in and said, no, I want Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien came in, asked if he could change some of his own offensive pieces. Belichick said, you can make one change, and I believe the tight end coach he chose. He couldn't make any other change besides one singular change. A lot of coaching staff screw-ups and mishaps and back and forths throughout, basically, I want to say, Mac Jones' tenure with New England. 3 straight OCs, a complete tire fire of an offense, and that entire situation. So this game has a lot riding on it. Belichick's future, the future of the New England Patriots, where their draft pick potentially goes, if they're going offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver, whatever the case may be, a lot rides on this game. I want to know, do you think that this Sunday against the Jets is an absolute must-win for the New England Patriots?
I do. I think it is a must-win. And I have something I want to read, Nate.
Go for it.
Okay, since this is this talk of Bill Belichick being fired.
Go for it.
I call it Ode to Bill.
Ode to Bill?
Yeah. He's the winningest active NFL coach. His strategy and schemes are always above reproach.
He's a poem.
6 Super Bowl wins have been forgotten by his naysayers. When he won, he always gave all the credit to his players. Maybe his draft picks weren't always the best, but he's won more than 300 games when put to the test. The greatest NFL player in history, Tom Brady, played for him. If they fire Bill now, it will be very grim. Give him another chance to redeem and return to glory. If you don't do so, Robert Kraft, you will surely be sorry.
That's your ode to Bill. That was really good.
Thank you.
I respect that. Well,
Thank you. I do think this is a must-win.
Go for it.
I think the Patriots will get the win. They have the Jets' number. The Jets have Trevor Siemian at quarterback. He'll be confounded out there against one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think Bailey Zappi, hopefully not 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions in the first 14 minutes of the game this week. I think in the first couple plays of the game, he ought to hand it off. I mean, 2 weeks in a row on the first play of the game, he's turned the ball over. So I think they ought to let him warm up a little bit, hand the ball off a couple of times before you let him throw it. And I think the defense will be all over the Jets. The Jets have a good defense, but I think the Patriots will find a way to win.
And I don't know why, no idea why. I'm picking the Jets in this game. And you know what? Hear me out. How perfect would it be in the sense of just irony and the poetic nature of it if Belichick, who spent about 5 minutes with the New York Jets, then came to the Patriots. They went on this big streak against the Jets. My first ever game that I ever went to was the last time the Jets beat the Patriots. And so far they've won for the past 7.5 years, 15 straight games against them. How perfect would it be if Belichick's last game, the last ever game he coaches for New England, he loses to Trevor Siemian and that abysmal Jets team? And I really can't say it's abysmal because the Jets do have a better record than the Patriots. But I just think, just based on everything that has happened this season, the Jets have a really, really good defense. Really good. They're top 10. I think they're as recently as like a couple days ago, they were the number 3 in total defense. So when I look at this game, do they have better receivers? They have one better receiver than the Patriots. But I think if we're talking about receiver depth, I'll give it to the Patriots. Do they have the better quarterback than the Patriots? No, I don't think Trevor Siemian's a better quarterback than Bailey Zappi. I think both are probably the bottom 3, bottom 4 quarterbacks in the league. Do they have a better offensive line than the Patriots? No, they don't. The Jets' offensive line is, I think, second last, and the Patriots, at least I believe, at the 27th or 26th best offensive line. So near last, but not quite. Do they have a better defense than the New England Patriots? Well, let's take a look at the updated numbers, shall we? So right now, currently, the Patriots have the number 6th best defense in the league. The Jets have the number 5th. So yes, the Jets do have a slightly better defense.
Over the last 7 weeks or so, I bet the Patriots are better than they are.
I would agree.
That's
with
a
you.
whole season. I mean, the Patriots'
Right.
defense wasn't that great at the beginning. I mean, they had those injuries. It took them a while to recover from that.
Right.
So the last 7 or 8 weeks, I bet the Patriots' defense has been one of the best.
I'll also say this. What we've seen so far this season is Bailey Zappi, while, yes, it may have looked better when he threw the ball, it maybe has a little bit more zip to it, or maybe...
Zappy. It has more zappy to it. Zap.
Maybe, when he throws it, his motion looks a little bit cleaner than Mac. What's the result, though? It's the same. They both have 2 wins on the season, except the difference was, I would say Mac Jones actually had a better win when he was against the Bills. He had tougher competition between Mitch Trubisky and a Broncos team that was literally being torn apart between the quarterback and the head coach. While, yes, it was impressive you scored 20 points in one quarter, it was against one of the worst teams, culture-wise, we've seen, with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, both falling apart and at each other's throats, basically. And when Bailey Zappi had an opportunity to do what Mac Jones did, to tie Mac Jones, can he beat the Buffalo Bills? It was ugly. Oh, it was pitiful. That first quarter, and then a little bit into the second quarter when he threw that third interception, that was terrible. That was demoralizing. So, Bailey Zappi couldn't beat the Bills. Mac Jones can. And I think, can Bailey Zappi beat the Jets? I don't think he can. I think just based on the defensive matchup, I think it's going to be an extremely low-scoring game. The last time they played, Mac Jones won 15-10. It's ugly. It's going to be low-scoring. I don't see Bailey Zappi going out and throwing for 280 to 300 yards.
It could be
couple
snowing.
Of touchdowns.
It might be snowing.
It is going to be snowing. That's what the weather permits. Belichick is sick right now. He's under the weather. So he's going to be out there, though. I guarantee you he's probably going to be out there coaching. But I think this is Belichick's last game. Do I agree with it? Not really, because I think just if Belichick could accept the fact that he's been a horrible GM and they get a new GM, I think it could work, because look at the defense. It's 6th in the league still when everything else is crumbling. Get yourself a proper GM. You could maybe get offensive talent. I'm going the Jets win. They end the 7.5-year streak, the 15-game straight streak, Bailey Zappi can't get it done. I go low scoring, and by low scoring, I really mean low scoring. 12-9 Jets win. 12-9. I don't think the Patriots score
You really
a touchdown.
think the Patriots can kick 3 field goals with their
No.
kicker
I think they score a touchdown.
and a safety?
No. They're going to score a touchdown without the extra point. Because we've seen Chad Ryland. He can't hit 30-yarders.
Okay, well then
It's a
he's got to
struggle.
kick 1 field goal then.
It's good. One field goal. And you better hope it's within the 20. Because there's no shot. You bring him out to the 40 to 49 yards. I think he's 3 of 6, I believe.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. He's horrible.
He's gone at the
Lowest
end of
graded,
this year.
lowest graded kicker.
They had
in
a
the NFL.
decent kicker. They would have won 3-4 more games.
Definitely the Colts, probably the Giants 7-10.
The game last weekend against the Bills.
They were down by. Oh, okay,
They're down by 6.
Yeah.
He missed 2 field goals.
I'll say the Chargers. You lost 6-0 was rough. Mac Jones never had a loss like that. He's had some ugly losses. He never got. Correction, he did have a bad loss. The 34-0 game against the Saints. That was a bad loss.
Yeah, and the Cowboys.
The Cowboys,
that one too.
They did score a field goal though.
Yeah.
So I don't think Bailey Zappi could do it. I could be wrong. It's not one of my picks for my Harvey hot end. I stayed away from this game.
I just don't think that Trevor Simeon's going to have a clue against the Patriots' defense. I think they'll have a scheme for him, and he won't know what he's doing out there.
If Zach Wilson
it could be,
was in there,
it could be that the quarterbacks are kind of taken out of this game. It's the running game because if it's snowing, they may pretty much go to the running game, and that there probably the Jets do have an advantage. Their running backs are maybe stronger than the Patriots, unless Ramondre Stevenson is back. They're going to have him back.
He's on IR.
game.
He's on IR, so he's done for the year. I do think if they go with the run game, I would say Breece Hall over Ezekiel Elliott 100%.
Zeke's played pretty well.
Yes. But when it comes to this, let me ask you this, because I thought of this, and I would have felt really, really good about this pick. If Zach Wilson was out there, would you think they have a better or worse shot winning this game if Zach Wilson was the quarterback of the Jets for this game? He's out with a concussion again this week.
I think I put Trevor Simeon and Zach Wilson kind of in the same bucket.
So you don't think it makes a difference?
I don't think it makes a difference.
Interesting. Because I would have felt much better if Zach Wilson was out there with the way he played, in his last, or not his last game. His last game he got shellacked. But if Zach Wilson had a resurgence like he did that first game after being benched, where it was like, oh my God, he had nothing to lose. He was just slinging the ball around.
Well, Zach Wilson's never had figured out Bill Belichick's defense.
Right.
They put him into situations where he makes lots of mistakes, lots of interceptions, fumbling the ball, bad reads. Yeah, I think probably Zach Wilson's happy he's not playing this weekend.
I don't know.
I think Zach Wilson probably wants to be out of New York after this season.
And my guess is he probably will be.
Yeah.
That's what my guess would be. All right, we're going to get into our next topic here before we go to break. So the Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to clinch the NFC East with a win over the Washington Commanders. But, the division's not locked up because if the Eagles win, Cowboys lose, Eagles take the NFC East. The Cowboys crushed the Commanders back in Week 12 with a score of 45-10. Now they're playing them again in Week 18. They have a 13.5 point favorite point spread over them on the road. So in a neutral field, this would be 16.5. Monster game. I want to know who wins on Sunday, and in case they lose, could the Cowboys make a deep playoff run if they end up getting the 5th seed?
I think they're going to crush the Commanders. I think it's going to be a similar game to the first one when they won 45-10. And I think that the Cowboys really need this game because they're not so good on the road against good teams, and in the playoffs, every game's against a good team. So at home, they're quite good. They're quite lucky. That game against the Lions, they had some luck on that one, huh? So I think they win and get the home field advantage, and then I do think they can make a deep playoff run because they'll have 2 games at home. 2 games at home, and that will be the secret for them getting deeper into the playoffs.
I'm going to agree with you. I really see literally no way, especially with Jacoby Brissett out and they're sticking with Sam Howell. No shot the Cowboys have a chance to lose this game. No shot the Commanders even have the slimmest opportunity to upset the Cowboys. Earlier on in the year, I would feel a little bit worried because the Commanders kept it close with the Eagles and they were in a lot of games, and Sam Howell was leading the league in passing yards, and he did have a lot of turnovers, but still, he was putting up pretty good numbers. Now, we're seeing Sam Howell go for like 9 of 21, look very, very poor. How is he a starter right now? I think if Jacoby Brissett was out here, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm a little bit worried because when Jacoby Brissett came late in, I think, 2 games ago, he came back and nearly beat the Jets. Yeah. He had an opportunity to actually upset the Jets. I was nervous as hell. Now, it was a 3-point spread. I lost the point spread. You actually won that, but the Jets pulled it out. So if Jacoby Brissett was in this game, I'd be mortified to pick the Cowboys, especially to cover the point spread. Because Sam Howell is out there, though, because of the amount of turnovers Howell's had this season, I do not trust him in the least. So my pick will be the Cowboys.
Thought that Sam Howell was, the franchise quarterback earlier in the year because he was playing really well. Even though he had turnovers, he was getting sacked a lot, and he's showing how tough he was. I think they may have lost some confidence in him.
Absolutely.
Don't you think? You
100%.
think they may draft a quarterback? They're going to have a pretty high pick.
Right now, they're at the number 2 pick. And I think if they stay within that top, if they stay within that range of 2, 3, 4 maybe, I would definitely draft a quarterback. Because the only other thing you would get at that spot really is one of the linemen, one of the tackles. And you don't really need an offensive tackle, truthfully.
I think they probably will draft a quarterback.
Because you want to get the quarterback right, and then you can start building around a quarterback.
It's the most important position.
That's why the Bears are sort of in a limbo. Do they trust Justin Fields enough to build around him? Maybe the Patriots didn't know how to build around Mac Jones because they didn't trust Mac Jones. Now, who the hell are they going to build around? They don't have a solidified quarterback to build around. So what piece are they going to get? Are you going to try to build an offensive line to help whatever quarterback is in there, whether it's Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, or whoever comes in through the door?
Yeah, my thought there is they have a great defense. If they can bring those players back, which they should be able to do, and get healthy on defense, then they could go bring back one of the existing NFL quarterbacks in.
Like
There's going to be
Russell
quite a
Wilson?
few of them available. Jimmy G will be available.
Don't bring him back.
And you don't need an elite quarterback. You don't need, if you have the defense as good as it was this year and pretty much in past years, you need a quarterback that can manage the game and not make the big mistakes. And that's, if they have that and they can put some more offensive pieces together there, get maybe a better receiver and fix the offensive line, I think they'll be right back in it. Yeah, so I think either Jimmy G or Russell Wilson would be a good choice for them if they keep Belichick.
That is going to be a very, very good question entering this offseason. But this game, I think, also has a pretty big implication because if somehow, some way, the Cowboys lose this game and they drop to the 5 seed, they'll be up against either the Saints, the Bucks, or whoever wins the NFC South, and they'll be on the road. They're 3-5 on the road. They look like an entirely different team on the road. I'd be nervous, especially.
I don't think they go deep if they lose this game. I think they'll lose on the road.
And then
shown
the question
3-5 on the road.
And then the question presents itself: what do you do with Mike McCarthy? He's basically the same coach as John Harbaugh. What are you going to do with him? Are you going to fire him for?
Why do you say he's the same coach as John Harbaugh?
Because if you look at the numbers, winning percentage is the same, division titles is close.
Yeah.
We did the comparison, and I'm sure we'll do something in the offseason.
I think McCarthy's more an offensive coach.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know. John Harbaugh is pretty balanced, I think. I don't see him as a more heavily defense or offense.
But if you're Jerry Jones, right, and you've had several seasons where it's just been disappointment after disappointment, failures in the postseason, and just all around, failures all around. Are you going to go fire Mike McCarthy and try to go get a Ben Johnson, potentially Bill Belichick? But I don't think it would work there, sort of in the same reason why Sean Payton and Russell Wilson didn't work out. Personalities are different. Jerry Jones is a very, media-oriented. He's gonna influence a lot of things, being the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
I don't see Bill Belichick working very well anywhere, but maybe Washington.
What about the Chargers?
I don't think he works well there because it's a closely held family organization with the owner's son playing a significant role in the head office. and they would have to cede some of his control to Belichick to get him to come there. I don't see how that works out very well. I don't see Belichick working well in Dallas because Jerry Jones plays a big role in the draft and all of that. And so I don't think Belichick would want that. I think Belichick's best spot's back with the Patriots. I really do.
Probably.
And maybe with Washington, they'd be willing to give him whatever he wants because they've been so bad. I think he would.
Generally,
I think
the desperate
they would
teams
want
make
him.
bad decisions. Look at the Browns. Although now,
Look at the Browns.
Well,
I'd say
now-
look at the Browns. They could make it to the championship game.
because
the
they
conference
decided
championship game.
they literally took a shot in the dark and say, "Yeah, what about 38 Joe Flacco? Dude's been eating chips on the
Smart
couch and
move.
throwing the football in his backyard to his kids, and all of a sudden now he's throwing for 300 yards or throwing 50-yard bombs to Amari Cooper and David Njoku." I think that's a gift from heaven after making horrible decisions, getting rid of Baker, then getting Deshaun, paying him the biggest guaranteed contract in NFL history. All that just ridiculousness to now be in this position where I think they have one of the best shots in the AFC to make the championship game. So I think the coaching decision, it's going to be big here. Jerry Jones, I guarantee you, if the Cowboys somehow make the 5 seed and get eliminated in the wild card, there's going to be some serious movement in the Cowboys, in the coaching position for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Whether it's Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, I don't know exactly who's moving. I don't know. It's probably going to be Mike McCarthy because it's generally the head coach. Personnel-wise, I don't think they're going to get rid of Dak. Not going to get rid of CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons is obviously going to still be there.
Those guys have contracts.
Right. That front office,
They shouldn't.
that coaching
I think
staff,
that
it's going to
Dak
move.
Prescott's had a good year this year.
I-
We'll see the key with him is how does he do in the playoffs? Can he avoid the big mistake?
Right.
We'll find out.
And we've seen
I think
that
if he's
in
playing
2
at
straight years,
home,
he hasn't.
he's playing at home is a better chance than if he's on the road.
Because we saw against the 49ers 2 years ago, against Jimmy Garoppolo, they did that 15-second QB draw. That was a complete mistake. And ended up losing because they couldn't get the spike down. Then last season, we remember Brock Purdy's was a second playoff game. He goes in. The game is right there. The Dallas defense has shut down the 49ers offense. And Dak throws 2 horrible interceptions. Literally threw the game away. And I guarantee you, unless we see something where it's like 2 neurons are firing off and saying, okay, it's clicking for him. Against good teams, it looks pretty nice. If he goes up against the 49ers, if he goes up, I would say against the Eagles again, but I don't know. I could seriously see the Eagles be a one-and-done team. But I would say definitely against the 49ers. If they meet in the NFC Championship game, I think the 49ers will shell the Cowboys again. Just because I don't think it's a good
The
matchup for them.
Cowboys will be on the road.
Right. I don't think it's a good matchup for them. I just think Tony Pollard is your future back. That means you can't really establish a great run game, 100 yards. 100-yard games for Tony Pollard are very, very rare. Dak Prescott, when he needs to throw 35 or more times, it gets ugly. They basically, I'm going to say this legitimately, they basically lost the Lions, was it last week? It was 20 to 19. Clock management is still one of Mike McCarthy's peeves, right? He's horrible with clock management still. In my eyes, I'm nervous for the Cowboys. I said I wasn't throwing my stock away. Was it 2 games ago?
Well, do you
after
think
lost
if
to the Bills?
they win and win the division and get the home field for 2 games, do you think they can win both games?
I think I said about a little after midway through the year, this team is an NFC Championship team, and I believe that, especially with the Eagles falling off like they have. I would say that this, besides Dak's rookie year, when him and Ezekiel Elliott were basically the NFL's best 1-2 punch combo, this is probably the year for the Cowboys because their defense is very, very good this year. Their offense, Dak Prescott's not throwing turnovers. He's not throwing interceptions.
Well, he should just throw it to CeeDee Lamb more. CeeDee Lamb is their player.
We saw, was it
right?
13 receptions, over 200 yards? He had a phenomenal game
That guy's
last
the
week.
player. He's the guy they should go to.
And so I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the dynamic of this game is. If they go out and they blow out the Commanders, I'm hoping that they don't get complacent. Their ego should not be inflated. If they crush the Commanders, take that as motivation. Keep that as, keep rewinding the film of that. Study whoever the next opponent's going to be. Lock in because this is the best year. If they lose in the playoffs again, McCarthy's probably going to be gone. We don't know exactly what the personnel is going to look like on the team. I guarantee you some things would be moved. You're saying 1.
He loses. Depends on who they're playing. If it's a close game, crazy play or something that they lose the game, I think they hang on to him. And who else are they going to get? Who else is out there?
Dan Quinn, you promote Kellen Moore.
Dan Quinn didn't have, he had one good year with the Falcons, and then his teams didn't play well for him after that. He's not. I don't think he's the best choice for a head coach.
Yeah, but you also, look at the defense this season. Look at the defense.
Well, he's a good
season.
defensive coordinator, no doubt about that.
Right. So you may want to step him up and just,
Yeah. I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles are in trouble now.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Their defense has kind of been exposed. Now they have Matt Patricia calling the defensive plays. The defensive coordinator. What happened to him? Did they fire him, or is he? He's just in the background.
He's up in the box now.
He's up in the box, and
Patricia's
calling the plays. That's weird. I'm sure the defensive coordinator doesn't like
that. He wasn't doing very well. And Matt Patricia, the numbers say he's been a little bit better, a tiny bit better.
Yeah.
But the defense still has been pretty bad. So I don't know. In my sense, I'm not saying the Cowboys are in trouble right now because they're playing the Commanders. But once it comes playoff time, I'm going to be honest. I had a lot of confidence this season.
Well, they're going to get the weakest. They're going to get the weakest wild card team, right?
Right. They'll get the 7 seed, which currently, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the number 7 seed for the NFC is the Green Bay Packers.
And who's right behind them? The Packers. The Packers could drop out if they lose, right?
The Seahawks have an opportunity to make the playoffs, but outside of that, I think the Saints still have a chance for a wild card spot. So you have the Saints and the Seahawks potentially that could replace the Packers this week.
Yeah.
And this week's a big week. Packers playing the Bears. That's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a really, really good game.
Yeah. And the Seahawks are playing.
The Seahawks this week are playing the Arizona Cardinals, who they just beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
So they're riding high.
Yeah.
Will they take that as will they continue that streak? The Seahawks have a bad defense this season.
Yeah.
Like very bad. 27th in the league.
Yeah. I like to see the Seahawks get in. But
we saw them last year. They look pretty good in the first half against the 49ers. And in the second half, I think Geno had a fumble on that first drive. And then
DK Metcalf had a great game in that playoff game.
He is a very, very short fuse, though.
Yeah.
You get on his nerves. His production's going down. He'll get a personal foul.
I'd love to see the playoffs get him. The Patriots get him.
They could have.
Yeah.
They traded that exact pick away.
Who is what are the NFC seedings right now? Number 1 is the 49ers.
Oh yeah, 49ers. Then
Dallas.
Then Dallas right now. Then Detroit. Then Tampa. Then Philly. Then the Rams. Then the Packers. That's your NFC.
Yeah. Think the Rams have a chance to win a playoff game?
They'd be up against the Lions. I think they have a decent shot at that.
I think they have a decent
shot
chance.
at that.
Yeah. Dan Gamble will gamble a game away.
Although I will say this, they did almost lose to Tyrod Taylor last week. They could have won. They were very, very close to beating the Rams. The Giants were. So I think that this week, I think you're going to be surprised by my pick this week when it comes to the Giants.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be pretty surprised.
We'll see.
All right, we're going to take a break now, but coming up, we make our final picks when it comes to the 2023-2024 NFL regular season. It's the finale, Week 18, our final picks, and we wrap up the exact same season for the Harvey hot end. I had a phenomenal year this year. Let's see if I end on a high streak. We'll talk about that right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. Good to have you in on this Friday. This is a special Friday because it's the NFL regular season finale, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic, which is our Week 18 picks every week for the past almost 2 years, basically 2 years now. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary of doing this show in about 12 days. We've been doing these picks every single week for the NFL season. Last year, we did okay. The point spread was a little bit rough for the both of us, but we were able to pick the money line pretty well. This season, it's been basically the same, so let's jump into my Week 18 picks. So there's no Thursday night game. There's 2 Saturday games, so let's jump in with those. So the first Saturday game is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Baltimore's resting basically everybody. They really have no starters. We have Tyler Huntley that's going to be playing in this game. Mason Rudolph is getting a start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers actually still have something to play for. They have an opportunity. If everything goes their way, they have an opportunity to make the playoffs. I'm saying no, they don't. I just think with the coaching of John Harbaugh, the offense, you look at the numbers, they're not the same. They're not even close to the same with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. But I just think that with the team, how it's currently constructed right now, with the way it's been playing, I say it doesn't really matter who you have out there. Tyler Huntley, Malik Cunningham at quarterback. I don't know. I don't really care. I think with John Harbaugh coaching this team, I think they can get a very, very, pretty good win. They're the underdogs at home. Don't love that. So for the Steelers at least, it's good for my pick because I can pick them to win by 1 point and they still win. I'll take the Ravens to win outright and covering the plus 3 point spread. The next one, Texans at Colts. This one has playoff implications. CJ Stroud is back like he was last week. He has an opportunity to make the playoffs, and I'm saying yes, he does. He wins this game, gets that 7 seed, and is able to make the playoffs. I just think he'll get it done. I mean, the way the season has looked out, he's been MVP. He's been an MVP candidate. We've talked about him on the show as being a potential MVP candidate. We've talked about how great a season he's had for a rookie. He's done, tremendous things for the Texans when after, Deshaun Watson, it hasn't looked all that great. So I'll take CJ Stroud to win on the road and cover the minus 1.5 point spread. The next one, Buccaneers at Panthers. All the Bucs need to do is win, and they're in. If they lose, it's not looking good for Baker and the Bucs. I do think they'll get this win here. The Panthers are horrible. Absolutely terrible. They just got crushed by C.J. Beathard and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, was dropping, water, whatever he was drinking on Jacksonville fans. He got fined, I think $100,000 or like $300,000 for that. It's going downhill for the Panthers. They're going to get a new head coach. The quarterback, Bryce Young, I don't really see much there, but maybe if you put a legitimate wide receiver around him, it could look better. But overall, he hasn't shown much poise. I think Baker Mayfield, he needs to get into the playoffs here just because he's fighting for a contract. His teammates seem to really be on board here. Todd Bowles loves him. I think if they make the playoffs here, and I think depending on if the Cowboys lose and get that 5 seed, I don't know. I would need to see how this game turns out. If they blow them out 38-10, I would say, yeah, the Bucs are probably going to win a playoff game. But I say they definitely win this game. They cover the minus 4.5 point spread, and Baker Mayfield brings the Bucs into the playoffs. The next one, the Browns at the Bengals. I do think the Bengals will get this win here just because Joe Flacco's not playing. However, I just think that the Browns will keep it close. Jake Browning, we didn't have a lot of faith in him when we heard that Joe Burrow was out for the season. We kind of threw him to the side. But he had a pretty good couple games, and then he started to decline when we jumped on board and said, you know what, Jake Browning can do it. And then, like I said, he fell off. I think they get the win here just because the Browns are basically resting everybody that's important to them. I think DTR might be the starter this week. We haven't seen great things. We saw some excitement in the Hall of Fame game against the Jets at the very, very beginning, all the way in early August, and since then hasn't looked all that great. I'll take the Browns to cover the plus 7 point spread, but I do think the Bengals get the win. The next one, the Vikings at the Lions. This is an important comeback game for the Lions. After being what I'm still saying, they got screwed over by the refs last week against the Cowboys in a 1-point loss that should have been probably a 1-point victory. Now they play Nick Mullins, who's starting instead of Jaron Hall. Thank God O'Connell made the right quarterback decision instead of Jaron Hall over Nick Mullins after he threw 411 yards, did have 4 picks, and was still in that game. So yeah, Nick Mullins will be the quarterback that's starting for the Minnesota Vikings, and then Josh Dobbs will be the backup to Mullins. I think Jared Goff gets it done here. They need some sort of bounce back game. I think they feel slighted by the refs last week. I think they do get this win here and cover the -3-point spread, and they keep up what's overall been a very, very good season. The next one we got the Falcons at the Saints. I've seen a lot of people pick the Falcons here. Why? The Saints have a better defense. I think they have a better quarterback. They actually have a quarterback. They have better weapons all around. If you're talking about the entire surrounding cast, I think the Saints have better weapons. Derek Carr, well, yes, it hasn't looked pretty. He's had a number of 300-plus yard passing games this season. I think he gets it done again. The defense for the Falcons recently has been pretty good, but I think the offense is the story here for the Falcons. It's not good. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a lot of help on the exterior. I'm going the Saints win and cover the -3-point spread. Derek Carr has an opportunity, depending on the outcome of the Bucs game, to make it into the playoffs. The next one, Jets at the Patriots. This is going to be a defensive game. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this game could go 12-9, and I'm going to pick the Jets to win here. I think it would be ceremonial, and I think it would be the perfect ending to Belichick's story if he somehow loses to the Jets in his final game coaching the New England Patriots. I just think it'd be like that. So I'm choosing the story over being smart. I'm willing to accept that the Patriots win here, which I'm saying they should be able to. Just look at the past 7.5 years, the past 15 games they've beaten them. I'm just going for the story here. Belichick loses to the Jets in his final game as a head coach of the Patriots. That's a very, very long headline, but I could definitely see that being the headline of some website or whatever the case may be. I'll take the Jets to win outright and cover a +1.5-point spread. The next one, the Jaguars at the Titans. I'm choosing the Jaguars to win here. We don't know what Trevor Lawrence's health is. He's questionable to go in this game, and generally, Trevor Lawrence, we've seen, if he practices throughout the week, but he's limited, I'll take him to normally win the game. I don't know if he covers, but he needs that practice. Because we've seen him when he's had barely any practice. He comes in and it looks terrible. The fumbles, the interceptions, overall bad play. I think it's going to be similar, but I just think with Ryan Tannehill starting over Will Levis, I think if Trevor Lawrence does go, I think he won't be anywhere near 100%. I think the Jaguars do win, but Mike Vrabel is the best home underdog point spread cover in NFL history. I'll take that to be the case. It's +3.5. I'll take the Titans to cover the +3.5 point spread. It'll be a 3-point win for the Jaguars, but the Titans do cover that +3.5 point spread. The next one, the Seahawks or the Cardinals. This one is interesting. The Cardinals just had a great win over Jonathan Gannon's former team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Seahawks have regressed massively, but I'm going to take them. I just think Geno Smith is good. I think Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, they're going to play very, very conservative, try to run the clock down, hand it off to Kenneth Walker. They're going to control time of possession here. I'll take the Seahawks to win on the road, cover the -3-point spread on the road. I just think Pete Carroll is a very, very smart coach. They're gonna create a game plan to keep the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands, because while I don't particularly think he's a superstar quarterback, I think he's a good enough quarterback to win sometimes big-time games. And I think Pete Carroll understands that. He's going to hand the ball off, try to control time possession. They are going to win and cover a -3-point spread on the road. The next one, the Bears at the Packers. I'm taking the Bears to win this game. I think the way Jordan Love's been playing has been great. And it's great for me because I said Jordan Love, I said that he would have a similar season than what Aaron Rodgers did last season. And that's the case. You know what's crazy also about this is that Jordan Love has the most passing yards than any other quarterback in the Chicago Bears history. They're one of, if not the oldest franchise in NFL history, and Jordan Love just broke their all-time leading passer in a single season. The Bears have never gotten a quarterback right. But I think they have an opportunity to get the quarterback right if they retain Justin Fields. And I think this is the game where it basically says, is Justin Fields our guy? They lost horribly early in the year. I believe it was 38-20, but that was week 1. The defense was abysmal. Justin Fields didn't look all that great. Then in the back half of the year after the trade deadline, the defense looked much better. Justin Fields was playing better. And I think that's going to be similar here. I say the Bears win and upset the Green Bay Packers and obviously cover a +3-point spread. The next one, Chiefs at Chargers. I really wanted to pick the Chiefs here. But I just think when we look at Mahomes, Travis Kelce's, they're both resting. And a lot of these players are resting for the Chiefs defensively, offensively. Pacheco's questionable. I'm going to say the Chargers get it done. I don't feel great about the pick if I'm going to be honest here. But it's not one of my bets. So this is just for pride and for my record. I think the Chargers may get the win here. I'm picking them to win here. I think just Mahomes' value to the Chiefs is very, very big. So I'm saying if he rests, it's not going to look great. I'll take the Chargers to win and cover a -3.5 point spread. The next one, Raiders and Broncos. Jarrett Stidham. He's in a similar situation. Actually, basically the exact situation he was last year with the Raiders. And I'll take the Raiders to win here. I think the defense will play better than the Broncos. I think the offense is more stable than the Broncos' offense. I think coaching-wise, the players believe a lot more in Antonio Pierce than they do in Sean Payton. I'm going to take the Raiders to win and cover a -2.5 point spread. The next one, this one I was talking about early on in the show, Eagles at Giants. I'll take the Eagles to win, but I'm having Tyrod Taylor cover a +5.5 point spread. He nearly beat the Eagles the first time. Very, very close to doing it. After Tommy DeVito put up basically a goose egg early in that game. And Tyrod Taylor had them come back and nearly win. They were 8 points away, one throw away from tying the game up and potentially beating the Eagles the first time. We just saw the Eagles get embarrassed by the Arizona Cardinals, the third or fourth worst team in the NFL. I'm saying the Giants cover the point spread here. I don't think they could win. If I thought they could win, I'd pick them. I think they could cover, though, because Tyrod Taylor, as I've said, and people I still don't think believe me or can see it right there. It's not a Brian Daboll issue. It's not even a Tommy DeVito issue. It's a quarterback issue. Daniel Jones can't go up and cover 5.5. I guarantee you. With the way Daniel Jones has been playing this year, this point spread would be -13. I think Tyrod Taylor doesn't make the big-time mistake. Is he as efficient, or does he put the big numbers? No. I'll admit that. No, he doesn't. But can he keep you in the game? Yes, he can. I'm taking the Giants to cover the +5.5 point spread. Eagles do get the win, though. I think it's a 3 or 4 point game. Next one, the Rams at the 49ers. And the season looks different than it normally does. If things go your way and things fall off like it did with the 49ers this season, where they've been dominant, had a very bad 3-game stretch, Brock Purdy went from MVP favorite to getting shellacked by the Baltimore Ravens. There's one thing that I know for a fact, no matter what the quarterback is, no matter what the team is, no matter whatever anything is, there's one thing I know to be true. Kyle Shanahan will always beat Sean McVay. No matter if Sam Darnold's out there, if Trey Lance is in here, I wouldn't feel great about it, but I'd probably pick the 49ers to win here. I know Trey Lance on the Cowboys, but I'm saying if he was starting in this game, I would still pick the 49ers to win because Kyle Shanahan, time after time again, even when Jimmy G was the quarterback, they always beat the Rams. And I'm saying they do it again with a more than a 4-point victory. I'll take the 49ers to beat the Rams at home and cover a -4.5 point spread with Sam Darnold as the quarterback. Now, what I'm going to find fascinating is if the 49ers put up the same offensive efficiency. Now, Matt Stafford's also out for this game. But if they still have a dominant offense, what does that mean for Brock Purdy? Throwing that pre-storyline out there. If Sam Darnold puts up 38 points, just hear me out a little bit. Sam Darnold ain't bad when it comes to Kyle Shanahan's offense, and maybe it's the system, not the quarterback. But that's gonna get people riled up. Next one, Cowboys at Commanders. I would say if Jacoby Brissett was in here, I would have the Commanders covering the +13.5 point spread. But this time, I'm saying no way. I think the Cowboys, they're playing for something big here. I think a lot of the players recognize their road performances are terrible. Defense gives up a bunch of a whole touchdown more than they do at home. The points basically have themselves. I mean, it's very, very bad. The Cowboys on the road are bad. I think that's what they're playing for. They're playing for the NFC East title, and they're playing to keep at least 1 or 2 home games when it comes to the playoff time, and that's really where they dominate. So they're gonna win here. I think this is without a question. If they lose this game, I think McCarthy's probably gone. I think there's going to be some serious changes, whether it be personnel, whether it be coaches. I think the Cowboys are going to be drastically different than they would be if they won this game. I'll take the Cowboys to win this game on the road and cover a -13.5 point spread. The next one, Sunday Night Football. The last regular season game of the 2023-2024 NFL season is the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. And the Bills are favored by -2.5. What we've seen recently from the Miami Dolphins is, against the good teams, we still have question marks about them because they haven't been able to beat good teams. They basically half their points per game offensively at home against bad teams and teams with a winning record. They half their points basically. The yards drop off big time. Turnovers are basically the same. Defense. The defense allows double the amount of points against teams with a winning record than teams without one. Yards per game allowed. It's like a 100-yard difference. Takeaways. They have about a whole takeaway more against teams without a winning record. The record's 10-1 against teams with a winning record. While with the winning record, they're 1-4. And I think that record falls to 1-5 against teams with a winning record on Sunday Night Football. The Bills win this game and cover a -2.5 point spread. Those are my final Week 18 picks. With all the backups, it's very, very hard to pick this game. And that's why my Harvey hot end, right after you make your picks, is very, very difficult.
With all the people sitting, it makes it hard to pick some of these games. That Chargers-Chiefs games is a hard
that was impossible to pick. I went back
pick.
and forth for that for like 5-10 minutes, wondering how the hell am I going to pick this game.
Yeah.
I decided to go with the Chargers. All right, it's time to make your final picks of this season's regular season. Take it away.
Okay, so my record now, I had a good week last week. I'm 149, 107. Very close on the point spread. I'm hoping I stay above 500 on the point spread this week. Last year, I was down 5 at the end of the season on the point spread, so this would be an improvement for me one way or the other, I think. So I'm hoping I can keep my head above water on the point spread. So my picks, I'm taking the Steelers to beat the Ravens. The Steelers need this game. The Ravens don't. The Steelers can win. They have, let's see. The Steelers have an 87% chance to get into the playoffs if they win this game. So I think who's starting at quarterback for the Steelers this week? Mason Rudolph. He's given the offense some spark. So if he can minimize the turnovers, manage the game on the offensive side there, I think they have a real good chance to beat the Ravens because the Ravens are sitting everybody. The Texans and the Colts, I'm picking the Texans. And if that happens, I believe that will get the Steelers into the playoffs. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not 100% sure on that. If the Texans win this game, then they say they have a 99% chance to get into the playoffs. So if the Steelers and the Texans both win, who winds up in the 7th seed?
I'm looking
see if you can find that. Okay.
So the playoff clinching scenarios, I got you. So for the Texans,
it would be the Texans.
Well, no. Well, here we go. So Houston clinches the AFC South with the win plus a Jacksonville loss or tie. They get a playoff berth with a win, or they tie, and Jacksonville and Pittsburgh loses.
Okay. Well, what if Pittsburgh wins?
So when it comes to
and Texas wins.
So when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, so ready for this?
Yeah, it's
5 scenarios.
5 scenarios.
Pittsburgh wins or Buffalo loses. Pittsburgh wins, Jacksonville loses or ties. Pittsburgh wins, Houston and Indy tie. Or Pittsburgh ties, Jacksonville loses, Houston and Indy doesn't end in a tie. Or Jacksonville loses, Denver wins, Houston and Indy does not end in a tie. So it's really simple. Pittsburgh wins, Buffalo loses. You're in.
Yeah. But it's more complicated if Pittsburgh wins and the Texans win. And the Buffalo wins.
So when it comes to that, you need Jacksonville to lose, Denver to win, Houston and Indy doesn't end in a tie. The Steelers get it.
If it doesn't end in a tie, well, which team? It doesn't matter which team wins.
It wouldn't matter then because Jacksonville would lose.
Okay,
they're out of
well, I'm picking the Steelers and I'm picking the Texans. So who knows who's going to make it? But I'd like to see either team get in there. Actually, I'm not a big Colts fan. Okay, the Buccaneers against the Panthers. I like the Bucks, prohibitive favorite over the Panthers, who are just a terrible team. And the Bucs have everything to play for here. If they win this game, they win their division. So I'm counting on the Bucs to win and cover the point spread. The Bengals against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are sitting Joe Flacco, so I think that gives the Bengals a good chance to win. The Browns don't really have anything to play for. They're going to be the 5 seed no matter what. The Bengals, on the other hand, what's their situation?
They're eliminated.
They're eliminated.
They're done.
They're done. So, which is sad, actually, when they came into the season thinking they were going to be a Super Bowl team. Joe Burrow Was dealing with injuries all year. Finally had an injury that knocked him out for the season. Browning coming in, making lots of mistakes, although playing some games where he looked pretty good, but not good enough to get him into the playoffs, so they're done. But I still think they win this game. The Lions against the Vikings. I like the Lions, although I think Dan Gamble could find a way to lose the game. If they lose, does it change anything for them? They're first in the NFC North. They can't lose that, right?
If the Vikings win, that helps the Packers. If they lose, they're done.
Okay. The Saints against the Falcons. I like the Saints. I don't see the Falcons having a chance here. I mean, they still have an outside chance. I bet it's 55 things have to happen for them to.
One singular thing needs to happen.
Yeah.
Atlanta wins, Bucks lose. That's it, and they have the NFC South.
Really?
That's the only chance they have of getting into the playoffs.
With a losing record, 8-9. They would have an 8-9 record.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't have anything else happen. They need to beat the Saints. They would have the tiebreaker over the Saints. Tampa Bay loses. They have the tiebreaker over the Bucks.
Okay, so they have a lot to play for, but so do the Saints.
Right.
The Saints win, and the Bucks win. Do the Saints? They have a chance at a.
The Saints would need the Bucks to lose. That's it.
That's it. They can't get into the wild card.
No, they can clinch a playoff berth with if the Saints win, Seattle loses or ties, Green Bay loses or ties, or Saints tie, Seattle loses, Green Bay loses.
Yeah,
they need to win or tie, and then Seattle, Green Bay needs.
We're not
going
to know who's in the playoffs until every game is finished. I think.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to.
When the clock hits about 1 a.m. on Monday,
and that's good.
You'll finally know.
I'm picking the Patriots over the Jets. The streak continues. Belichick keeps his job. Gets a little help in the front office on the draft picks next year. Patriots back in the playoffs next year. The Jacksonville Jaguars against the Titans. Jaguars have a lot to play for here. Need to win this game. Titans don't. They're out. So I'm picking the Jaguars to win and cover. Seattle, they have a lot to play for. The Cardinals are out. The Cardinals have been playing better lately. Kyler Murray finding his stride. They won the game last week against the Eagles. That was a surprise. I would say the Seahawks a little bit of a disappointment this year. Geno Smith not playing quite as well as he did last year, although not bad, but not what he did last year. He had a great year last year. I slightly, even though the Saints are on the road, the Seahawks are on the road, I think they'll find a way to beat the Cardinals and have an outside shot at getting into the playoffs. Let's see what they have to do here.
The Seahawks.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks.
They're the 8th seed now.
They have three things happen.
They only have a 44% chance to get in if they win.
Right. So when it comes to Seattle, the Seattle needs to win. Green Bay needs to lose or tie, and they make it. Seattle could tie. Green Bay loses. Tampa Bay loses or ties. They're in. Seattle ties. Green Bay loses. Saints lose or tie, and they're in. So the easiest one would be Seattle wins. Green Bay loses.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking Green Bay to win, so that's going to hurt Seattle's chances. They can't. They have no chance if Green Bay wins. Right? They're out.
If Green Bay wins, they're done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think they're going to win. I think they'll beat the Bears. The Bears, the Bears aren't they still hanging around? Yeah, they're 7-9. No, they're out.
They're limited. Yeah.
They won 7 games this year,
which is I think much higher than people thought.
Yeah, and they started out so poor.
Right.
I think they wind up keeping Justin Fields, give him another chance. Although it's tempting to draft a quarterback there, right? Maybe they do that anyway. They keep Justin Fields and draft a quarterback, and then they see how it goes, and then maybe they trade one of them.
Could be.
It could be. We'll see. Okay, Kansas City against the Chargers. Even though Kansas City's sitting the players, I like them to win against Easton Stick. I don't think the Chargers, they've had a very poor season. They fired their head coach. They're in turmoil right now. I think even with the Chiefs' backups, they're going to find a way to win that game. The Raiders against the Broncos. Stidham is in there. Both teams are out. No chance for the playoffs. sit him going back to play against his old team here. Could be a close game, I think. But Antonio Pierce, I think he's found something with that team, and the team likes him. He wins this game. He probably gets the job to be the coach next year. So I'm looking at the Raiders to win this game. The Eagles at the Giants. I like the Eagles -5.5. The Eagles have some issues, and I think they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, but because their defense has been exposed. I think this one will be close, but I do think the Eagles will cover. San Francisco against the Rams. This could be very close too. The Rams are in, right? They can.
The Rams have clinched a playoff berth.
Yeah,
Yes,
they've clinched a playoff berth. Darnold is playing. He's going to try hard because he probably thinks he's as good as Brock Purdy. I don't, personally. I do think that letting him start like this creates some question marks in people's minds about who the real starting quarterback is going to be. And I agree with you. If
narrative that I
if
hinted at during my
Darnold
picks?
comes out and puts up a lot of points, that if Brock Purdy doesn't play well in the first half of the playoff game and they get behind, you might see them bench him and put Darnold in. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know about that.
We'll see. I don't know.
I think the conversation will more be is it
Purdy's
the
a little
system or
banged
Purdy?
up too.
My argument with that would be if Darnold drops 38 points on this team, I know they're resting some of their players, but I think the question won't be whether or not would they bench Purdy. I think it would be, is Purdy just a product of the system? If Sam Darnold's put up these numbers with this team, Purdy's doing similar things as well.
Yeah.
Do they just need a competent quarterback?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think that will happen either, and I hope it doesn't because I do like Brock Purdy. Okay, the Cowboys against the Commanders, prohibitive favorites. We talked about this. The Cowboys are going to crush them. And they need that game because I don't think they go very deep in the playoffs unless they win this game and get the home field for the 2 playoff games. Then I think they have a decent chance of getting to the NFC Championship game. The Sunday night game is going to be the one to watch. Buffalo against the Miami Dolphins. Right now the Dolphins are the 2 seed. Where do they drop to if they lose to the Bills?
The Dolphins. If the Dolphins lose this game, they already clinched the playoff spot, but they would drop, my guess would be to the 6th seed.
The 6th seed, yeah. I think the Bills are going to win. We talked about this game, and I think it'll be a fun game to watch. It's going to be close. And those are my picks.
Yeah, so there we go. That wraps up our Week 18 picks. We've had a very, very good year so far. You've had a pretty good record, 149, 107.
Had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, no, definitely next year will be another season of a lot of question marks. This has been the year of the backup. A lot of backup quarterbacks. There's some value in the backup quarterback now. If your quarterback goes down, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, you got to have a comparable backup. You got to have someone who could be in there and succeed at a somewhat similar level than you did. They don't need to be better. They just got to be somewhat comparable. Comparable. Like Tyrod Taylor, he doesn't make the big mistake. Tommy DeVito had a shocker for 3 games. Something like that. Give a guy some credit. But it is time now for the final edition of the 2023-2024 regular season when it comes to my Harvey Hot Hand. And for those who don't know, my winning percentage this season is 61.18 heading into Week 18. The best season. Last year, I was 54.45%. This season, I'm 61.18. A much better season this season. So hopefully we can continue that streak. We were 3-2 last week. It got close, but we were able to come out with a winning record once again. I don't want to go back to the 1-4s and potentially 0-5s. We did a first this year. We had 5-0 in one of the weeks. So hopefully we can keep up that streak again. These picks, don't love them, but you got to go dumpster diving. It's Week 18. People are benching their starters. People are resting now. So let's begin with the first pick of the Week 18 Harvey Hot Hand with
Rams at 49ers.
So this one is pretty self-forward. That's out of order, my bad. This one's pretty pretty obvious here. Like I said earlier, there's one thing I always bank on when it comes to the 49ers, whether it be Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, if it were Trey Lance or Sam Darnold. There's one common denominator when it comes to the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan always beats Sean McVay. And that continues now. Now, like I said, this game actually has a couple of narratives to it, at least I believe, if you're thinking about potential story outcomes and headlines and rumors and reports or whatever the case may be. Kyle Shanahan, to start the season, said that he really likes Sam Darnold and sees a lot of talent in Sam Darnold. Huh? I just saw him stare at ghosts when he was with the Jets. Had poor performances when he was with the Carolina Panthers. And now you're saying this guy could be a true starter and you really, really like his talent? Okay, prove it. This game, he'll finally prove it. Sam Darnold in there. I think they win 27-21. He continued. Kyle Shanahan stays undefeated against Sean McVay, and they cover a minus 4-point spread. The next one.
Falcons at Saints.
This one, I don't know why people are picking the Falcons. I think the Saints are overall the better team. They're playing for a playoff. Both teams are playing for a playoff spot, but the Saints are in a much better position. They have the better quarterback. They have the better surrounding cast overall. I think they have a better offensive line. The defense, that's where you can get into some, interesting situations if you want to compare the two. Recently, the Falcons' defense has been pretty good. Overall, through the season, I would say that the Saints' defense has been better. I'm going to say the Saints win here. They have an opportunity to make the playoffs, depending on the outcome of the Bucs game. I think the Saints could potentially make the playoffs this year. I don't know if they do, but I think they at least beat the Falcons. They cover the minus 3-point spread, and they win 24-17. The next one.
Bills at Dolphins.
This one, I normally don't pick the big-time games, but this one, I've never felt more confident about a big-time game besides 49ers and Cowboys than I do when it comes to Bills and Dolphins. This time, I have the Bills covering a minus 2.5-point spread and beating the Dolphins. We've seen so far the Dolphins this season, the major question mark has been against winning teams, how do they perform? Let me check quickly. They're 1-4 compared to teams without a winning record. 10-1. What do the Bills have? A winning record, and they're on a hot streak. Earlier on in the season, when they're going up and down and up and down and down, down, up, up, whatever the case may be, I would be like, okay, the Dolphins have a shot. Now, what the Bills have been doing recently, I don't think they have much of a shot. Even when Josh Allen had 50% completion percentage, they still felt, even though the score was close, 6-point win over the Patriots, I still felt the Bills were in complete control of that game. This time around, I think the Bills take care of the Dolphins pretty handily. They win by 6. They cover a minus 2.5-point spread and win 34-28. The next one.
Bears at Packers.
This one is going to be interesting. I think this is a storyline right here. Justin Fields is playing for his future with Chicago. I think Matt Eberflus, I think that is probably one of the most interesting coaching situations so far this season besides Bill Belichick. Obviously, Bill Belichick, with his reputation, with his history, I think that's the number one coaching question so far in this offseason and to end this regular season. I think Matt Eberflus is up there now. Because if I were to tell you so far, early in the season, that this defense will turn around, Justin Fields will look like a competent quarterback, and this team would win 8 games, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Didn't they go 13-3 last season with Justin Fields only running the football a lot with a very, very poor offensive line? How could this team flip with the same head coach and the same quarterback? And then you look at that right now, and after the trade deadline, you get Sweat, and the defense is completely changed. I say they upset the Green Bay Packers. I think Jordan Love's under a bunch of pressure. I think the Bears get the win here. They upset the Green Bay Packers, cover a plus 3-point spread, and win 28-24. I think Justin Fields gets it done. And what you saw to start the Harvey High name, if you're watching on YouTube, is
Eagles at Giants.
This one, Tyrod Taylor doesn't make the big-time mistake. He just doesn't. Tommy DeVito, he's a very, very young quarterback. He'll make the big-time mistake. Daniel Jones, I think he's just a bad quarterback overall. He'll make a big-time mistake. Tyrod Taylor, a serious veteran in the league, I think he can get it done, at least cover the point spread. It wouldn't shock me, based on what we saw with the Cardinals, if the Eagles lose this game against the Giants. But this is all about the point spread here. So even if the Giants win, I still cover here. I'll take the Giants cover plus 5.5 point spread. This Eagles team is falling apart. Defense, A.J. Brown is apparently a toxic person in the locker room. A whole thing is going down with the Eagles. I think the Eagles are crumbling right in front of our eyes. This normally happens with a few Super Bowl teams who make the Super Bowl. The team, a year or two after the Super Bowl appearance, or the Super Bowl win or loss, whatever the case may be, stuff starts to fall apart. And the Eagles, and even the Chiefs, we saw the Chiefs this season. They're not the same Chiefs team. They're starting to fall apart here. I'll take the Eagles to win. Don't feel great about that, but what I feel great about is the Giants covering a plus 5.5 point spread. And that wraps up my final Harvey Hot hand of this NFL season. What do you think of my picks to wrap up the year?
Run them by me again there.
So we got the Rams and 49ers, -4. I have the 49ers.
I had a question there. Why wouldn't the Rams sit Matthew Stafford and let him rest?
They are
clinched a.
Yeah, no,
Oh, he's not going to play.
He's not going to play. No.
Okay.
They have Carson Wentz who's starting in that game. Carson
Wow.
Wentz, yeah.
That's pretty surprising, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, you Stetson Bennett ain't a guy.
Yeah.
I'm shocked how Stetson.
Okay,
Bennett,
so that's the one.
I
You picked the
picked the 49ers to cover.
49ers on that one. I think that's right.
Falcons and Saints. Saints -3.
That's gonna be an interesting game. I think.
I agree with you. I think that's gonna be a very.
I do
very good
think
game.
the Saints should win that one though.
Bills Dolphins. We both had the Bills winning that.
Yeah.
Bears Packers. We disagreed on that game.
Yeah.
I think I was.
You might be right. You
more
might
of the
be right.
story.
Although I think Matt LaFleur has done a very good job with the Packers this year. When they started out so poor, he got them believing in themselves, and Jordan Love playing much better. They came back. They've got it's theirs to lose. So, the Bears they haven't won anything in so long. So, but I do think that Justin Fields will be trying hard in this game, and has a good wide receiver there, and you said they brought Sweat in from the Commanders. Their team's better. I mean, they could wind up with 8 wins this year. That's pretty good for them.
I still find it shocking how Jordan Love in his first season starting had more passing yards than the leading passer in the history of the Bears in a singular season.
Yeah. Well, the Bears have never had anybody.
They haven't had a quarterback throw for more than like 3,800 yards. I think their leading passer in a single season has a little bit over 3,800 yards. Never had a 3,900 yard passer.
Yeah,
Never had a
they're in the
4,000
windy
yard passer.
city. The weather out there in Chicago, this time of year it's freezing there, and the wind's blowing. It could be snowing. That makes it tough on the quarterback.
And my final one was the Eagles Giants. Giants +5.5.
I don't believe that one. I
think the Eagles are toast.
Yeah.
I don't. I had so much.
I think Matt
confidence in
Patricia
this
will
season.
have the answer for
Matt Patricia.
Yeah, he's going to have the answer for Tyrod Taylor.
I don't know. So I feel good. I don't know if I go 5-0. I think if things go as they should, at least 3-2.
Okay.
I think those last 2 picks, if things go right, the teams that are leading in the point spread should cover. So the Packers and the Eagles should cover. But this season has been crazy. Sometimes it's worked for me. Other times it hasn't. I'm still on a winning streak here. I'll take the Eagles and the Giants to cover. Or I'll take the Giants and the Bears.
Good
to
luck,
cover.
Nate. It's been a great regular season.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see who wins and what our records turn out to be. And then we'll be into the playoffs, a whole second new season.
And I'm
wait.
saying Tuesday's show might be depending on what happens. Tuesday's show might be one of the craziest if that meeting goes very poorly in New England.
Yeah, I can't. I'm holding my breath on that. I'm holding my breath.
If the meeting goes
I hope
poorly,
Robert Kraft heard my ode to Bill.
Oh, that's
I hope he listens.
that's
I'm a longtime Patriot fan, man.
Yeah.
I want my coach back.
Hey, sometimes it's
You know what? I think if they do fire him, I think it's going to be a long, cold winter for the Patriots, and I think it'll be a dark period of time for them. I think their defense will fall all apart. Then they won't have an offense or a defense, right? Well, what they going to do on defense? Huh?
Well, what I saw today was an insider reported how a lot of players on New England, they really believe in Gerard Mayo. They really believe in him.
You know what? He may be a good coach, but he's no Bill Belichick.
No one's Bill Belichick.
I mean, Bill Belichick is the one that comes up with the scheme.
Right.
The scheme against each team.
I'm not going to argue that. But yeah, I completely say. And look, I've ripped on Belichick, and you know what? The reason why I rip on him is right in front of our faces. Because what he's done without Brady, he has a losing record pre-Brady and now post-Brady.
Yeah, bad luck this year.
The offense can't get it done.
Luck plays a role in this. Luck plays a role. Look how many injuries he had.
Yeah.
Right? Look how poor his quarterbacks played for him.
That he drafted.
Right?
That he developed.
Yeah, and how many coaches he's lost.
That he shopped for.
He's lost so many people, have left his core people that he had in the front office, and he just lost a lot of guys. I mean, he needs a chance to rebuild.
Well, the fact that he's 70, if he was 50 years old, maybe they rebuild.
Yeah, well,
he's what, 72?
Yeah, well,
he got maybe 3 years left in the NFL, and that might be pushing.
Some of our people that are a little more in the senior years, we still got it. We still got it. I still got it. Bill still got it.
Defense, maybe. Defense, maybe.
What do you mean, maybe? Said the best
Head
defense in the
coach.
second half of the year of any team in the league.
Head coach-wise, though, because you also have to deal with the offense. I think it's very, very difficult.
Well, I give him another chance.
Yeah.
He deserves it. He's a 300-win coach. Huh? Don't come along very often.
He barely got 300 wins this season. Barely.
He barely got to it, but he did get to it.
He did get to
Yeah.
it. I can't take that away from him. All right, that'll wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. Tuesday might be a great show. NBA season is in full swing. We'll talk about that more. OG Anunoby to the Knicks is looking pretty good so far. They need that 3-and-D guy, and he's performed very, very well so far this season for the Knicks in his 2 games with them. So we'll definitely keep our eye on that. Jonathan Kuminga, I want to talk about this on Tuesday. Doesn't believe Steve Kerr can help him get to his full potential. Things are not looking good for Golden State. Draymond Green is trying to make his comeback.
Oh, did they let him come back?
Not yet. Moses Moody is frustrated with this role. Kuminga not happy with the way Steve Kerr has been coaching him and says that he might not be able to reach his full potential with Kerr as the coach. Not looking good. Not looking good. We'll talk about that on Tuesday, as well as whatever report comes out about the meeting between Kraft and Belichick. I think there's going to be a lot there with the way things have looked, with the reports that are out there. It's not going to be pretty on Tuesday or late Monday, depending on when the meeting is. Whenever stuff gets out, I hope it's Tuesday so we can maybe break something on the show, but I don't think it looks good. We'll talk about a lot on Tuesday, but for now, for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been the co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN, online security